This is Dave Chapin with the September company video. Hope you all had a great Labor Day. We're excited to get back and re-energize after the long weekend. We have just three things in the video this month. One is an interview with me and Brandon about safety and what we can learn from past near misses and injuries that we've had. And Steve Gardner and I will talk about inconsistencies and some things that we've reconciled to maximize our efficiencies by doing the same things on all of our projects and within all our departments. And lastly, Trista will be here to wrap things up with some employee and coworker updates. Thank you. Hope you're having a great day. Well, hello, everybody. Like I promised in the intro, here I am with Brandon Lee, and we're going to talk about some of the recent safety incidences that we've had here at Wilmer Electric. Brandon pulled up the last 20 recordable injuries and near hits that we've had. We've grouped them together to categorize to see where those injuries have come from and near hits have come from, so that we could process where we could go to eliminate them. So they happen in bunches. Would you mind telling us, Brandon, how we categorize them and what four categories we came up with, and then you and I can go into some detail inside those categories.
Yeah, so I ran the last 20 recordable and near hits that we had. We've been doing really good in terms of safety, but it is good that we've identified these near hits and how to eliminate them and try to not have these near misses or near hits, as we call them. So we broke them into a couple categories. One of them was stretching. Stretching seemed to be a big factor in a lot of these near hits and injuries. Power industrial truck training, so scissor lift, forklift, boom lift, operating all those types of machinery safely. And then we had housekeeping, picking up as we go, and tools and equipment as well.
So those encompass the lion's share. Let's go through them in order. Tools and equipment, we had 6 different incidences that involve those. All our recordable injuries came on tools and equipment. What would you say to talk about those kind of injuries?
Yeah, so just using the right tool for the right job. One of the ones that I'm sure a lot of people recognize was with bandsaw safety and cutting safely, either flex or conduit or seal tight with a bandsaw. We had an injury there where we had a cut and resulted in stitches. So to fix this cutting situation with this clamp onto the parts cart, so we can clamp down whatever we're cutting and safely cut it without getting our hand in the path of the bandsaw.
All right. The other one, I guess, tied for second from the bottom as far as I'm concerned, because we're trying to avoid these. With 5, we got powered industrial truck. What's an example of powered industrial truck and what we've done to try to minimize those injuries?
So one particular, with power industrial truck, we've got a new system in place where we're going to try to get new hires through power industrial truck training as soon as we can. We'll incorporate it into Scott's apprenticeship class that he has and get people trained on the proper stuff, especially scissor lifts, because we operate scissor lifts on a daily basis. We did have one particular near hit where we had an employee operating a boom lift, putting some trim lights and some soffit. He was close to a parked vehicle. They failed to go into the slow setting on the boom lift. He was still in the fast setting. He was going to try to move and accidentally bumped into this vehicle. So it was near hit, but it could have been much worse. And I think having good training there and feeling comfortable with the piece of machinery you're operating could have eliminated that. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. Sometimes we just take for granted the operation of material and the training. We kind of say, who needs to be trained on these items? But yet it accounts for a quarter of all of our near hits, and those near hits obviously turn into injuries someday. Another one that sometimes, again, take a lighthearted approach to stretching. I found in my own life, though, we have 5 stretching injuries here. If I take the time to stretch, I feel better. What we have for feedback on stretching, Brandon?
Yeah, so stretching, I think out of all 20 of the near hits and recordables we've had, stretching played a factor in some way, shape, or form. It's just important to be stretching in the morning, especially stretching to whatever the task you're going to be doing at hand. So if you're going to be pulling wire or working overhead, you should stretch your shoulders and rotator cuffs if you're going to be doing a lot of overhead work, or if you're going to be kneeling a lot, making sure you stretch the appropriate muscles for whatever you're going to be doing that day. And then also not only stretch in the morning, but after you take a half-hour lunch and you've been sitting for a half hour, to make sure to stretch before you get back to work and get back into it.
That's a great point. You stretch in the morning. It doesn't necessarily last all day if you somehow have taken a break from it, and then just right before that big exertion that's going to happen, if you re-stretch and take the time to isolate those muscles that you plan to use, will really help, because those can be long-term issues if you have injuries with those. One other one, the fourth one on the list, it's still serious. It happened in 3 occasions on housekeeping.
Yeah, so housekeeping, like you said, we had multiple incidents. One of them that kind of stood out when I was going through them was we had one where we were hanging some cable tray, trying to step over a part of the machine and caught a foot on an airline, causing that employee to lose their balance and fall. So if we had cleaned up and got the airlines out of the way and not had any tripping hazards, we could have easily prevented that trip. So
yeah, it's really all about knowing your environment. We had a heat exhaustion. We had an asbestos one also reached in these 20. We won't go into details of those are, but we really are able to find and isolate those 4 main categories. Those 4 things that really go after. They're reflective of our industry and what we've done. So, explain to me why you call them near hits.
Cold near hits, I went to a webinar, and we've always referred to them as near misses, and that's just the way I've always heard it. But during this webinar, they said call it a near hit because it wasn't necessarily a near miss. It nearly hit somebody, or it could have been a recordable. A near miss kind of makes it sound not as serious as what it could have been, and a near hit just it really opens up your eyes to that. It could have been a recordable injury, so and could have resulted in that person not being to work for a day or a week or even longer. So
yeah, and permanent injury, no matter how uncomfortable or minor people might make it seem, we don't want scars, we don't want broken legs that cause us to have long-term problems or the back injuries that can come from stretching. So thank you for your dedication. Thank you for putting this information together. You're a great resource for it. I encourage people to keep reporting your near hits because it gives us a chance that we don't need someone to get hurt to learn. We can learn from, like Brandon said, those near hits that are potential injuries, and if we ignore them over time, eventually one of them will become an injury to somebody. So keep the information coming. We're impressed with places that give us a lot of those because it means they're in tune with safety. So, thanks, Brandon. All right, welcome everybody. As you may or may not know, one of our goals is to eliminate inconsistencies here at Wilmer Electric. And so Steve Gardner and I are here together, sort of, in COVID-19. We are in the same office, but we are on different offices so that we don't have to mask up when we talk. And we're going to talk and go through our inconsistency log. Our goal for the year is to do 12, which averages out to 1 a month. Inconsistency eliminations. Steve and I are going to talk about 5 of them just to update everybody on where we are with them. They've been submitted from various different places where we do things differently in a projects, regions, or departments, and to get it so we're all in the same place and standardized. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Steve about 5 different issues. The first one was as-built drawings are completed differently inside of each region. How did we reconcile that, Steve?
We reconciled that by using Procore, the markup tool in Procore, so we can get our as-builts done as we go, and then when the project is finished, we can just print them out of Procore and they're already done.
All righty. Another one was refilling material. We used pick tickets in some places, and we used T&M sheets in the other, and now we do...
We're going to have pick tickets in the service vans and in the wire Connex here in Minnesota and in the Connex or the shed in Nebraska. So all of our inventory will come out of or be transferred using a pick ticket.
All righty. Service work order POs were written to the work order in some regions, and they were written to the van inventory in other regions. Now we've reconciled that by...
Yeah, we're doing it by writing to the work order in every region. That eliminates a lot of over processing when we order material to inventory and then transfer it. That opens up for mistakes and things like that, and just a lot of over processing that we didn't need. So if we buy it directly to the work order, that's the most efficient way to do it.
All right, we had some in prefab file folders, how it is we stored the forms to request prefab and then actually process it. There was more than 3 ways of doing this in the past, and how we reconciled that one.
Well, what we did is we reestablished our prefab reference folder. Some of the jobs had prefab forms in there. Some of them were using the prefab reference. So now everybody's moved over to the prefab reference folder that has all of our forms, and the forms are now divided nicely by category within the prefab reference job folder in Procore. So you just like a one-stop shop for getting your prefab forms.
And engraving, we another inconsistency, we eliminated how we get our engraving throughout the regions.
The engraving was done a couple of different ways. We were ordering. What we decided to do, because it's more thrifty, is just use the engraver that we have. Folks are sending in orders to a single person here, and then the plaques are sent out within just a matter of hours or days, a very short amount of time, and it's much more cost effective.
All right, you say cost effective. Of these 5 ideas, we then track different elements of all of them. Each of these ends up saving us thousands of dollars over the course of the year. What are the items? Can you maybe walk us through the spreadsheet we use? What are the different items that we track on that spreadsheet?
We track hours savings, dollar savings related to that, which we're using a set dollar amount per hour. And then we track other savings, whether that's material savings or other things. Right now, for the inconsistencies that we have identified using the formulas that we have plugged in, we're at over $20,000 saved just by cleaning up some of these inconsistencies.
All right, so over $20,000. I don't know, we haven't measured this in headaches, but there's just the standardization of knowing how to do it. And in the past, I can remember you go to a job site or something like that, they do it over here this way, and over there they do it the other way. I just wish we had one way of doing it. We're trying to get that, is what we're getting at in our inconsistencies. I've been at the meetings where we try to reconcile these. The meetings have gone very well and very smoothly. What would you say about the process of eliminating inconsistencies? How's that gone in your view?
I think it's going pretty well. Because we practice traction here at Wilmer Electric, a lot of the different departments have what we call L10 meetings, where we get together, and a big part of an L10 meeting is issue, discuss, and solve, where we actually sit down, and inconsistencies have become a large part of that portion of our meetings. Within the operations department, on top of the 5 that we've already discussed, we've had 6 or 7 other inconsistencies that we've talked about, discussed, and solved. They don't necessarily rise to the level of our annual goal within the company, but they are smoothing things out and eliminating a lot of just inconsistencies in how we operate across the company, particularly from region to region.
I'm going to highlight one of the ones that you went back to say how smooth the process has gone, and I think it's typical. Engraving, the central region had a handy form they used to submit to make sure the information was done right. But it was done in the northern region. We did them ourselves by hand. By taking that form and by taking the other method and combining them together, we really got a better way of doing things. And it typifies on how this has been very non-combative. So,
I was going to say, I think we're taking the best of all of the regions and making our processes that much better. And I think it's a great thing.
All right. If you have an inconsistency out there that you see that you want us to eliminate, send an email to Steve or I or just to your supervisor and get it to us. And we'd love to work on getting a common way of doing things moving forward as if we're on the same team, because we are. Thanks.
Hi, and welcome to the September employee update. Today we're going to go over our new hires that we have here at Wilmer Electric for the month of August, and then we're going to talk about the anniversaries that are coming up here in September. So for new hires in August, we had Elliot Wagner, who is a journeyman who joined us in Nebraska, and he started here on August 3rd. And then on August 10th, we had Nick Domeyer, who began here as a journeyman in the northern region as well. welcome to Nick and to Elliot. We're excited that you're able to be here, and we welcome you. If you have questions, please feel free to make sure you reach out to your foreman, to your general superintendent or project manager, and you can always reach out to me, like we talked when we did orientation. For our September anniversaries in Oklahoma, we have Lee Runkle, who on September 16th will have been here 1 year. We have Boomer Nix, who on September 27th will have been here 10 years. So that is who we have. Those are the anniversaries that we get to celebrate in Oklahoma. In Nebraska, we have Sylvia Hegel, who on September 13th will have been with Wilmer Electric 32 years. And Noel Hartong, who on September 20th will be here 1 year. And Josh May, who on September 24th will be here 2 years. And in Minnesota, we have Jay Tornquist on September 8th for 23 years. Corey Lounsbury on September 20th for 16 years. We have Darren Murphy on September 24th, who will be here 2 years. And Greg Sikora on September 24th, who will be here 41 years. I think Greg's trying to beat Larry Marcus at 44 years. So kind of impressive that Greg has been here 41 years. And then we have Larry Davis, who on September 26th will have been here 26 years as well. So thank you for all the hard work that you guys have done in the past years, and we appreciate it. And we look forward to another year of your employment here. Again, in the last video, we talked a little bit about that we were going to get these fun, let's turn it this way, these fun neck gaiters for individuals to be able to wear, which are a little cooler than the actual face mask. So everybody should have received at least one. If you're in the field, you should have received at least 2 of these neck gaiters. Just as a reminder, they are neck gaiters. They're there to cover your face. So we put them on like this. We put them on and we pull them up and pull them over our face like this. Okay, so just as a reminder, if you're working within 6 feet of somebody, that we are to be wearing our neck gaiters as well. And then if you are on a job site that requires you to wear a face covering, we ask that you please make sure you wear a neck gaiter or your mask. You have the choice, but we do provide these for you. If you have questions in regards to that, please feel free to give myself a call again, or your project manager in your region a call in regards to that. So in Oklahoma, in the southern region, that would be Steve Gardner is your project manager there. In the central region, which is Nebraska, your project manager is Paul Latimer. And here in the northern region, that project manager is Justin Erickson. So thanks for all your hard work, and we look forward to another good month.